On this week's Flames Central, Liberty football climbs in the polls and Flames basketball remains dominant at home.
Plus, the story of a former Flame whose passion for education is helping hundreds of kids succeed during these difficult times. It's all next. This is Flame Central. Hello, friends, and welcome inside our Flame Central studios. I'm Emily Austin. He's Rhett McGibbon. You know, Rhett, the week leading up to the Coastal Carolina game, Liberty head coach Hugh Freeze was asked by the media, how have you been able to get through 10 straight games without any COVID issues this season?
And then they totally jinxed it. It all came rumbling and tumbling down. Unfortunately, they had to cancel that last game, and that disappoints me because I was looking forward to the battle at the beach.
Me too. I love a good fire on the beach. I even bought one of those hashtag Beat Coastal shirts from some kid in the parking lot. But really, it was a bummer to end the season that way. Liberty paused all team-related activities on Thursday, December 3rd, due to an elevated number of COVID-19 cases. Like I mentioned, this is the first game of the season which was canceled for the Flames. They do plan to resume activities when they are given clearance by medical staff. However, Liberty will not reschedule a makeup game, which means LU finishes the regular season with a 9-1 record. Now, the Flames await a possible bowl game invitation, which could come later this month. On the bright side, despite having what would have been the program's first ever top 25 game canceled, the Flames found a way to move up in the top 25 polls. You know, Rhett, work smarter, not harder. Liberty sits at number 21 in the Amway coaches poll and 22nd in the AP poll. This is the 5th time this season that the Flames have been ranked in the top 25. Just a reminder, this is only Liberty's second full season in the FBS.
Well, great to see Liberty moving up the polls despite the circumstances. From the gridiron to the hardwood, Liberty basketball was back in play. The men looking for their second straight win at the new Liberty Arena and their 4th win of this young season. The Liberty starting 5 would storm out of the gates against Bluefield College. The Flames would hit 10 threes in the opening half while shooting 66% in the initial 10 minutes of play. Now, although the Flames offense was firing, the defense struggled. Opening half, Stanley Christian and Jeremiah Jenkins would have their way, scoring 38 of Bluefield's 43 points through 20 minutes. Richie McKay, though, he'd get the defense sorted out. Bluefield College would just shoot 16% to start the second half. And then Darius McGee, he would go off, scoring 10 straight points in a 2-minute span, pushing Liberty's lead to 19. And then the finishing touch would come from the freshman.
Coyote! Hammers with the right hand! Young fella, get on up!
Flames win their 25th straight home game and improve to 4-2 on the season. The Lady Flames were on the road at Memphis for the program's first ever matchup versus the Tigers. It would be a great start for LU, rushing out to a 9-1 lead. Liberty's defense would be stellar as well in the first quarter, holding Memphis to 22% from the floor and forcing 9 turnovers. The Tigers, though, would bounce back in the second quarter, led by Mengiadu's 6 points. Memphis would lead at the half by 2. Third quarter, Tigers would establish a 6-point lead, but then Ashton Baker, the senior, would get the Flames back in, scoring 10 points to close out the period. Liberty would lead by 1 in the fourth. Lytle with the thievery would put the Flames up by 2 with the lay-in, and then unfortunately it would all come crashing down. Despite Lytle's 30 points, a career high, Memphis would go on to drain back-to-back triples by Griggs and Wilson, eventually winning 72-67. The Flames fall to 1-3 on the year.
I have no doubt the Lady Flames will bounce back. Well, sticking with hoops, Liberty alum Dr. Eric Cunningham would deal with plenty of struggle and rejection before he found success and reward. He would earn opportunities through basketball, but he learned that there was much more to life than just sport. And today he's passing that lesson to youth as the superintendent of Halifax County in North Carolina.
Get your 5 fingers up when you see Doc C. Get 'em up, get 'em up, get 'em up.
Dr. Eric Cunningham leads the Halifax County School District in eastern North Carolina. As superintendent, he's responsible for nearly a dozen schools navigating the challenges of COVID-19.
You know, the challenge that we're having is this rural connectivity.
It is.
Equipped with a positive attitude
This is fantastic.
and an inquiring mind,
How is it going this year?
Dr. Cunningham seems to be a natural for his leadership role within education. But it's quite a turnaround from the kid whose report card showed 4 Fs and 2 Ds his freshman year of high school.
But you know, the war, it changes you. You know, and my father suffered some things after he returned, which resulted in my parents going through a divorce. And in 6 months, I found myself in the projects. But I knew I wasn't gonna stay there. And I purposed it in my heart at that time that I was gonna claw my way out of here. Now, I'm the oldest at that time, and I remember distinctively my mother telling me, said, "You're gonna have to grow up now."
Sports looked like the way out for Cunningham. But then he was cut from the basketball team his 10th grade year.
So I go home crying, "Mom, what is going on? I need you to go up to that school." My mother looked at me that day. She said, "I'm gonna tell you something, son. There are only 3 things I can promise you: food, clothing, and shelter. Everything else, you gotta get on your own. But you can do it if you work hard."
And he resolved to do just that. Cunningham would make the basketball team the next year and show promise on the court. But he also began to realize that his hard work had to reach beyond the hardwood.
I began to mature in high school because I knew that education was the key. I knew in high school I wasn't NBA quality. I knew it. I had bad knees. So I knew that my timeline of playing basketball had an ending date. So then I began to think about that education is the key. Education is my ticket.
But even though Cunningham was making progress in the classroom, low grades would limit his opportunities beyond high school.
And I ended up being Prop 48 because I could not score the SAT admissions. So I had to go to JUCO.
Cunningham would play 2 years at Richard Bland College before a new opportunity would arise.
Jeff Meyer came down to Petersburg and opened the door for me to go Division I.
Meyer was the head coach at Liberty University in Central Virginia. Cunningham would play his final 2 seasons at LU and earn his bachelor's degree, becoming the first in his family to graduate college. But he wouldn't stop there. He'd go on to obtain a master's degree at Liberty and a doctorate from the University of Virginia. But despite his efforts, getting to his dream job wouldn't be easy.
Now, my road to becoming a superintendent was after 18 strikeouts. I applied 18 times. But all it did was remind me to take one more step, incremental growth. So what, your number is 19. And when 19 came around, that was Halifax County. We are going for it all because we matter.
One constant in Dr. Cunningham's journey to becoming a superintendent was faith, the foundation of which took hold at a concert back in college.
I tell you, my faith was rooted at Liberty University. So when I rededicated myself at that Carmen concert, it began to solidify in me that I was okay just as I was. And I could believe and worship and incorporate my faith in every act that I do.
Striving to be a role model to the children he leads, many of whom are facing some of the same struggles he did.
I have never lost the feeling of rising and falling. I know what it feels like to be on one knee. I know what it feels like to be knocked down. I know what it feels like. So even though I am Dr. Cunningham, I never allow myself to forget where I come from.
And for these students, education is the light that will lead the way.
We're a lighthouse district, and the lighthouse shines best in a storm. And when you look at the Halifax logo, you'll see this beautiful lighthouse with some big waves. The lighthouse represents the school, and it's anchored in the belief that education opens doors. I miss all of you so much, and I can't wait to reopen schools. I lead with my feelings, and when I walk in and I go get your 5 fingers up, and I say you have to strive. That's the same thing my mother said, go get it. And I'm passing that on to them. This is how we're closing the STEM literacy gap, right?
Filled with a heart of gratitude for how far he's come, and a determination to press on to the very end.
And just like in basketball, you leave it on the floor, and at the end of the day, that's exactly what I want them to say. He left it all on the floor. There's nothing left.
Well, what a tremendous testimony of perseverance. You think about it, high school grades, not that great. You want to play Division I ball, not working out at first. He keeps pushing, and then becoming a superintendent, trying 18 times, and finally number 19, he gets it. A great testimony for young people out there to never give up.
That never give up lesson that he brought down from his mom, which I love how she didn't just stomp up to the school and say, put my son on the team. That was a lesson he needed to learn, and he was eventually able to get on that team the following year. So really cool story.
Yeah, fantastic story. Still to come on Flame Central, meet a family who takes life one adventure at a time.
Plus, we asked the football players who they wouldn't want to be with on a deserted island. Flame Central will be right back.
What are the moments that stick with you? The ones that take your breath away. Sometimes you find them when you least expect them. You just need the opportunities to pursue. At Liberty University, you can earn a world-class degree and alongside, walk away with memories and experiences that will last a lifetime for all your passions and interests. So what is your dream? Liberty University can ignite it, and your outcome will change the world.
You work hard. You sacrifice. You do what it takes for your kids to succeed. College can be expensive, but your income makes it difficult to qualify for much, if any, need-be state. Until now. Liberty's Middle America Scholarship provides over $20,000 in financial aid over the course of 4 years, to families typically bringing in between $35,000 and $95,000 annually. At Liberty, we don't just believe everyone should have access to higher education, we make it happen.
Reverse lay-in. Baker, trolling pull-up, jump whirl drop. Ostrom, inside the two-line, will drain it. Tossing it low, Redstack cutting in for two. Lytle for three.
Get your Liberty Women's Basketball season tickets today.
Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back to Flame Central. During the Christmas season, time spent with family is at the top of most people's list. For Liberty University alumni Dave and Jenny Stifter, time with family is a must, and they do it regularly through family adventures. And it was these adventures, along with their faith, that allowed them to overcome one of the toughest seasons of their lives.
It's almost as if God blew up our life. All the realities that we were holding on to or thought we needed or were chasing. And he kind of blew all that up. And
we thought it was a bad thing.
And we thought it was a bad thing, and it just wasn't.
I don't know how these paddles are gonna work, Oak.
Oak, are you gonna paddle? You're gonna use your paddle?
We fell in love with the idea of micro adventures. Everyone thinks you need like a week long. We save up our 2 weeks and we get all excited about our 2-week vacations every year to kind of reset and recharge and get away. And we realized like we need 2 hours.
To their over 100,000 Instagram followers, Dave and Jenny Stifter, along with their 2 children, Oakley and Callie, are known as the Micro Adventure family. Living in Jacksonville, Florida, their daily escapes inspire others to get out and explore.
We just thought that there might be some value there to encouraging people to get outside in their own backyard, even when you're tired and even when you don't feel like getting outside. Our goal was to really hit the ground running with our careers and to build up as much of a savings account that we could. So that way when it came time to have kids, that we would kind of be all in the parenting realm.
The day we had Oakley, one of my business partners walked into the hospital on the same day with this. We had started a healthcare business. One of my partners had walked in kind of with a, we got served paperwork for a big lawsuit. Got blindsided by this thing. Nothing we had done wrong, but just things happen in business. And so literally it all hit at the same time.
There was like months of like this ongoing back and forth of like, what is this gonna look like? And just a lot of complicated ins and outs. We realized that we owed somewhere to the tune of $1 million personally. And it was devastating.
And then, amidst their hardship, Jenny became pregnant with their second child.
You get on that sort of that high of thinking like, yes, we're gonna be expecting another baby. This is so exciting. And then quickly realized that that the baby was no longer viable. So that was hard. That was really hard because then it was just more questions of like, why, God?
It's as if things all happened all at once. It was so much that it didn't matter what I wanted to hold on to. I couldn't be that good husband during that period. I couldn't be that good dad even. I couldn't hold it together in any area of my life.
I remember we had a little bar counter in our house, and I just remember sitting there so many times and just reading scripture and praying and sobbing. I just remember sobbing.
I think sometimes we always just want to think like, all I need is Jesus. But like in that moment, all we had was Jesus.
Trying to heal from the loss of their child and still facing staggering debt, Dave and Jenny searched for a way out.
We had been sorting through a lot of this legal stuff, and we realized one of the only ways that we could have tried to figure out how we could make even more of a dent into this debt is to sell our house. So we listed the house, and I was 7 months pregnant, and a week later, Hurricane Matthew came through Jacksonville, hit our house, flooded it, destroyed it.
After renovations to their flood-damaged home, Dave and Jenny relisted it and then determined it was time for a change.
We decided, we were like, let's just pack up and leave our house staged and furnished, ready to go, and let's just go to Boulder because we just feel like for whatever reason, God's just kind of guiding us out of Jacksonville at this moment. So we packed our bags and put them in the back of Dave's truck. Didn't bring any furniture, anything with us. And as soon as we started our drive across country, we got a full asking price offer on our house, which was shocking. So shocking that our realtor called the other realtor and said, what's the catch?
When we moved from Jacksonville, it became kind of this sweet period of our lives where, that we found rest for a second. We found rest in another really sweet church community that just loved us so well, even though we couldn't figure anything out.
But in time, they would begin to feel a call to adventure.
After living in Colorado for 6 months, we decide to go buy an RV and to go travel all 50 states in this RV.
Their travels would bring discovery and inspiration.
I think there's a sense in which horizontal awe can always stimulate vertical awe. And so I think that definitely happened on our journey as we traveled and saw, the amount of national parks and places we went to that are just jaw-dropping. It was super refreshing and great for the heart and our souls to be reminded of who painted that picture for us.
And along the way, another burden was lifted.
I don't think that there was ever even the thought in our head of we are going to escape this debt. I think that we thought that we would have it for the rest of our lives. throwing money back into this, and completely by God's grace, I literally could not even begin to tell you, but that the debt has been completely paid. And it was just something that we never thought that we would see. We never thought we would see that day.
A blessing they would begin to pass on to others. As they rolled through each state on their journey, they found opportunities to serve and use their social media platform to give back.
For us, even from the start of starting the social media side of things and documenting our journey, we just kind of said, you know, how can we make this kind of a community in which no one feels like we're trying to get anything out of it? Let's travel, let's try to find as many ways that we can kind of dive in and help along the way and get involved in things along our journey. But also when it comes to Instagram, you know, social media, YouTube, like any money we make, anything like that, let's just give it all away.
And by focusing on others, Dave and Jenny have experienced a strengthening of their own faith and a renewed focus on the one above.
We're not always serving well, and we're not always missional minded. And on most days, Oakley and Callie's dad isn't even close to that, right? And so I think what we've been focusing on a lot recently, alongside of trying to be, you know, a good example to them, is also reminding our kids often that their parents are messing up and didn't serve well today, and pointing to the one who perfectly served us today and perfectly loved us today.
With their 50-state tour complete, Dave, Jenny, and their 2 kids have settled back home in Florida. And while they're no longer traveling the open roads, one thing is certain: their next adventure is right around the corner.
I don't think the micro adventures will ever end for us, and still gives us a lot of that sense of adventure on a day-to-day, even if we're in one place.
Such a great story. Brett, as a family of 9, growing to 10 soon, what was the last micro adventure you guys did?
Is Christmas tree cutting a micro adventure?
Absolutely.
Okay, that would be it. We went out to a beautiful farm, got one, a big one. I've always wanted a big one, finally got like a big monster tree.
It's not going in the yard, it's going in the living room. Let's keep with the Christmas spirit with WEF. Rhett breaks down the top 3 moments or players of the week. We start things off with warm, but first, what is our theme this week?
We got Christmas songs this week.
Ooh, you know I love a good song.
Yes, she does. All right,
Let's start off with a warm.
Warm. Micaiah B. And the song is this the most wonderful time of the year, because whenever you get to see the skill set of the freshmen and it's kind of like the new toys come out, it is the most wonderful time of the year. And this guy, we have seen the potential. We've witnessed, like, here it's coming. We know it's there. And then boom, he dropped it. Dropped it hard on Bluefield. Look at this dunk. It's not the whole game for this guy. It is just this one moment, the big fella came out and just threw down the hammer. I absolutely love it. This guy's gonna be so much fun to watch, and that just, 2-second span is a window to the future of his career. I think he's gonna be a dominant force for Liberty basketball.
Kind of like gravity when Santa's coming down the chimney there. I like that. Nice dunk. All right, well, we're moving right along to hot.
Yeah.
What's our song for hot?
All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Oh, I'm not gonna even compete with Mariah Carey on that one.
Keegan McDowell. This is a guy that, it's like the brand new, you don't think of him as a new guy coming into the program because he's been a while, but we all know the history, and it's just great to have him back. And yes, all I want for Christmas is you, Keegan McDowell. The way he has played so far this year, ASUN Player of the Week versus St. Francis, 5 of 7 from 3, 21 points. I think his impact has been ginormous. Like, he has just been so good. I knew he was a good shooter. Like, we saw that his freshman year, he could get it done. There was inconsistencies, but just the way he has been a standout performer, so much impact has blown me away, and I'm sure that Coach McKay is so pleased with the fact that he's back in the program, and you also get a guy that knows the defense, and that's huge as well.
Yeah, I know Coach McKay was not very happy when he decided last season that he was leaving, but of course he's very happy to have him back. All right, we end things with En Fuego, so it has to be the best Christmas song of all.
I don't know if it's the best Christmas song of all, but Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Emily Lytle, she has just been rocking people absolutely hard. Versus Memphis, 30 points. What a day for her. I've mentioned it, on our podcast, the Flame Central podcast, take a listen, that last season, up and down year for her. Found herself on the bench, then became a starter, really stood out when it came playoff time. But boy, has she ever hit a new level in this season. Only 4 games, but her offense is off the charts. I think she's got better defensively as well. She can dominate outside and inside. She can post you up. She is the complete offensive package so far for Liberty this season, and I think she could even get better. That's the hard thing to believe, and she could potentially come back for another year. She is a force for women's basketball.
I heard her gingerbread building skills are pretty on fire.
That's
too.
a tease.
So
That's
that is a tease for our next Christmas show. All right, still to come, it's the final football hot seat of this season, and the Flames aren't holding back. That's when Flame Central returns. Hey, thanks for sticking around. This year, we put Liberty student athletes on the hot seat because we want to find out the answers to some of life's most important questions. Rhett, people always ask, if you're stranded on an island, what item or person would you want to bring? But that's boring.
Yeah, let's stir the pot a little bit here and see what Liberty football players have to say for today's hot seat question. If you're stranded on an island, what teammate or coach would you not want to be with?
I probably wouldn't want to be with.
Bad question.
Jerome Jolly. He'll have us drinking salt water.
Ooh, say Joe Lewis.
Coaches included, right?
That is a hard question. There's so many people.
I do not want to be on the island with Coach Ken Austin, quarterback coach.
Not Jolly. Kimani. I don't want to be with Kimani because we gonna die. We gonna bump heads the whole time and end up killing each other. Wow.
Just gonna be talking about football the whole time, and I just, if we're on an island, I just want to have fun,
I would not want Frank with me. I would not bring Chase. Yeah, if Frank can take everything, he's like, bro, I guess we gonna die. I'm like, what, Frank? He talks too much. He just don't want to get nothing done.
I don't want to talk about, what coverage this is on third down.
I wouldn't want Jacob Bawden.
Probably no Fred. Brody.
He eats a lot, and I don't know how much food's gonna be going around on that island.
You got that stink breath.
I think we would just be out there laughing too much and not really pay attention.
I love you, but Josh Mack. How to say my goofy young boy Dion. He could turn on me, I'm not sure. Stuck on an island together.
Probably one of the specialists. Not because they're specialists, just because they get worried about sunburn and all that stuff, and they'll just hold me up.
Good stuff. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Make sure you go to libertyflames.com and hit the Flame Central link.
For Rhett, I'm Emily. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.